Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are freezer meal prepping single serving burritos. We're gonna do 3 different types of burritos, all for your freezer to make eating on the go especially easy and affordable. All right, if you're new here, hi, I'm Claire. Welcome, come on in, make yourself comfortable. If you cook for just you or you and one other person, if you love a bit of single serving inspiration, be sure to hit subscribe because we do a lot of that over here on this channel. Today we are filling the freezer because my whole family was out sick for a whole week, which is why I didn't post last week. We were all sick, and let me tell you, nothing better than having a freezer full of pre-made things that are good to go for when you're sick. And one of you lovely people had a great comment on my last video that I did with my single serving pizzas. This commenter said basically anything you'd find in a Hot Pocket, you can make yourself and just put it in a tortilla. So I will admit, these are not traditional burritos. Please don't come for me for making a pizza burrito and calling it a burrito, okay? I just don't know what else to call it. We're stuffing things into tortillas. So I will be referring to these things as burritos, even though they are a little bit different in their execution of a traditional burrito. So I'm glad we can get that out of the way. Make sure you stay to the end of this video because I will be freezing these, but then also eating them throughout the week so I can show you how I cook them, how I defrost them, how I make sure they stay delicious, and kind of show you what they look like inside and all that good stuff. And with that, let's get going on these 3 different recipes for the freezer. For all of my burritos today, I will be using these tortillas from Aldi. These are smaller. These are not the traditional gigantic, big, huge burrito tortillas. I find that this size is perfect for me, but all of this can be customized to what your flavors, tastes, and appetites are. So if you wanna make them teeny tiny, get the little ones. You could make baby burritos or get a gigantic one. Whatever you wanna do is fine. These are the ones that I'm using. And the first recipe we're going to do is, in fact, a pizza burrito. I have tomato sauce. This is my own from my garden. But of course, use whatever kind of sauce you like. You can buy pizza sauce or your favorite marinara or whatever. This is just tomatoes, and I like it that way. As far as cheese goes, mozzarella. It's a classic, works every time. As far as toppings, I've selected pepperoni today, and I find that the turkey pepperoni, usually my preference anyway, but the turkey pepperoni is great because it's like way less greasy. And when you are freezing it and microwaving it, sometimes your burritos can get a little oily. And using turkey pepperoni still gives you that great meaty flavor, but less grease, and I find it to work out better in the long run. All right, the first thing I'm gonna do is shred my cheese. I find also that mozzarella cheese freezes and thaws very well. It isn't like a super high moisture cheese, so it's not going to separate or get funky. I have frozen many a pizza, many breakfast burritos, lots of that kind of stuff in the past with mozzarella, and I never have a problem thawing it out and having it have a weird texture. Other than the pepperoni, the sauce, and the cheese, I also am using a little bit of Italian seasoning, as well as a little bit of flaky sea salt. And here is my rolling method. We go a partial fold. We fold the sides in, and then we give it one last little tuck. And there is our burrito. Now, even though we have a nice burrito, this is not ready to just put in a bag in the freezer. It will come apart. So what we're going to do is carefully put them on this separate tray. And once this is full, I'm actually gonna freeze them like this, like wide open, just for a couple hours until they are frozen solid, and then you can throw them in a bag, and that way they will stay together. these lovely little burritos. I'm gonna pop these in the freezer and then we're gonna prep for our next recipe. All right, our pizza burritos are in the freezer. Amazing recipe because we did not have to cook anything. No cooking involved, just a bit of assembly. Our next recipe is going to require a teeny tiny little bit of cooking, but I wanna let you know, you don't have to cook a white sauce. We're making like a bechamel, okay? A classic white gravy-like creamy sauce. If you are not going to do that, buy a jar of Alfredo, buy something. You don't even have to use that. You could use tomato sauce, whatever kind of sauce you want. Remember, I'm here to inspire you, not to tell you what to do. So you can do it differently if you want. I'm going to make a bechamel, and I can tell you it's going to be really delicious. So if you want to do it like me, you can. You'll be happy you did. So basically all you need, flour, butter, milk, salt, pepper. That's all we need to make our little sauce. What inspired this is I got this bag of these chicken breast chunks at Costco, and they are so tasty. And they are the perfect little bite size that I feel like would go so good inside of a burrito. And I thought, what would be good with chicken? And then I thought like, ooh, like a chicken Alfredo situation. And then I thought, I could just make a sauce and put it in the burrito. So that's what we're doing. We're making a chicken burrito. All right, to make our white sauce, we start with a roux. It's equal parts butter and flour. So 2 tablespoons of butter in a pan. Let it melt. All right, 2 tablespoons of flour. And now we're just gonna cook this for a few minutes, just until the flour kind of cooks, you know. Now I'm gonna add some milk, and I hate to tell you that I'm not really measuring anything. That's about a cup. That's about 2 cups. The great part about a sauce like this is if it's too thin, you just cook it longer. And if it's too thick, you just add more milk. Trust yourself. It's easy. Just whisking that in, and then I'm gonna cook it for a few minutes until it gets nice and thick. I'm gonna go ahead and just season it with some salt and some pepper, but like, season it however you like. Put more bits in there, I don't care. Whatever you're into. All right, we're getting there. Couple more minutes. All right, it looks pretty thick now. I'm gonna add a little bit more salt. Make sure you just like give it a taste and see if it needs more salt or pepper or whatever you're throwing in there, because you don't want it to taste like nothing, okay? All right, in addition to the sauce and those tasty little chicken breast nuggets, I also have some spinach because I need to eat more vegetables, don't we all? We're gonna stuff that in there. We don't need to pre-cook this because like the sauce is hot, and when we go to reheat these in the future, this will wilt inside of the burrito, no problem. So throw the fresh spinach in there, it'll work fine. I'm also gonna go ahead with a little Parmesan cheese in there because who doesn't love Parmesan? Don't worry, it's good. Mandatory taste test. Honestly, because my tortillas are a little small, I am going to cut my chicken nuggets a little bit. Just a little. I don't want them to be frozen when we go to reheat the burritos because my chicken is too big. All right, time to assemble. I'm using the same method as before where we're going to put them on this rack and freeze them, flash freeze them. I like to use a cooling rack, like, because it's got these little things and I can put them on top of the other pan that's in there with our other burritos. So here is our sauce. You see it's nice and thick. Nice little handful of chicken. Throw in some spinach, and of course you can really pack the spinach in there because it's really gonna shrink when it gets warm. Some parm on top. And we'll fold it up. These are gonna be a little bit more stuffed than the pizza ones, but that's okay. There we go. add to the freezer, and then we're gonna start on our last burrito recipe. All right, you guys, on to our last burrito, and this is going to be more traditional because we've got some refried beans. I will say this one is vegetarian, no meat involved, but you could add chicken or ground beef or pork or whatever you wanted. You could add some to it, but I like to keep a meatless option all the time in the freezer. So I'm not gonna add meat, but you could. So anyway, let's assemble these. All right, so in addition to the refried beans, I also have some black beans. I also have some tomatoes with green chilies. This is like the Aldi version of Rotel. I also have some cilantro, which is like one of my favorite herbs. I'm so sorry if this tastes like soap to you because it's so delightful and I feel bad for anybody that doesn't like it. I also have some queso fresco, and the seasoning I'm using today is called everything but the elote. It's got salt, chili pepper, cheese, chipotle, and cumin. It is so tasty. It's from Trader Joe's, but you could also just use like a regular like taco seasoning or your own blend of whatever you like. So that's what I'm using. Go ahead and chop this up. All right, time to assemble. Honestly, I'm hoping to use this entire can. I don't know how many burritos this is gonna make, but I feel like it's gonna be a lot. You will notice that in every variation today, I've put something with like some moisture as our sort of like bottom base. And that is just going to help not make it super dry, which will be nice. Honestly, I'm really hungry and I kind of just want to eat this right now. I know that's not the point, but I will definitely, I'll have enough leftovers to make myself. Maybe I'll make like a little rice bowl for dinner with whatever is left in these cans when I'm done. Anyway, I put all the things on here. And honestly, this is probably our healthiest burrito that we made. We've got a lot of protein and fiber and veg in here. This is a beautiful burrito. You guys, we have 9 more burritos for the freezer. I'm gonna go ahead and throw them in, and then tonight before I go to bed, when they're nice and frozen, I'm gonna show you how I package them up. All right, you guys, my kids are in bed. I'm heading there myself soon, but we gotta take care of our burritos. So I wanted to show you, after they've been in the freezer a few hours, they are nice and firm. None of the bits are gonna fall out, which is ideal for storage. And you have a couple of choices when it comes to storing these. Firstly, if you're planning on using them within like the next couple of weeks, all you're gonna need is a freezer bag. You just toss them in there, but make sure, especially if you're making more than one kind, to label your bag, or else you don't know what's in there, right? All right, the next option I like to use for storage is either using plastic wrap or aluminum foil to individually wrap them. If you don't have the time or the space to flash freeze them, this is also a way you can freeze them without them getting messy if you have like a smaller space to work with or whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and do this with just one burrito because it's the one I'm gonna take with me to work tomorrow. And that way I can just grab it and throw it in my bag, and it's already like in its own little compartment. So I'm going to do one of the chicken ones, of course. It's not leaking because it's nice and frozen. And I'm just gonna wrap it up in this piece of foil. Alternatively, you can wrap them all in foil or like plastic wrap, and then also put them in a freezer bag, and they will last, you know, a while that way as well. But don't worry, I'm gonna heat it up at work tomorrow and show it to you before I eat it so you guys can see what the vibe is. And the third way I'm going to show you, I'm actually not going to do it, but I have some other burritos that I've done in the past I'm gonna pull from the freezer and show to you. And that is, I have vacuum sealed these. These ones are breakfast burritos, and they've been in there for like a super long time. But when you vacuum seal them, they're good forever, especially in like a deep freezer. These are good to go for a year. So if you need long-term storage, you can vacuum seal them after they've been flash frozen. However, we're gonna go through these really fast. I'm not gonna go through all this. As you see, I still have breakfast burritos in the deep freeze. So it's unnecessary for me to do all that this time, but it is an option if you're really planning ahead. I think this is my last pack of these that I have in there. I made like 50 of them once at a time, and I still have these left. So keep that in mind. We can store for longer if we store smarter. And fun fact about me, if you didn't already know, I am a professional dog groomer. That's what I do as a job. So it's important that I have convenient things to eat while I'm working because I'm quite busy. This burrito sat in the fridge all morning, so it was thawed just a little tiny bit, but not all the way. So I wrapped it in a paper towel and I microwaved it for 1 minute, and then I flipped it over and then I microwaved it for another minute. So 2 minutes total, and it came out perfect. The chicken was totally tender and hot all the way through. The spinach was wilted, not soggy, but not crispy. The sauce was delicious. This was totally tasty and perfect for a work day. All right, you guys, for today's lunch, I am trying the pizza burrito. I have not thawed these at all, directly from the freezer, hard as a rock, and I'm going to be making it today in my air fryer, but you could use a microwave. That is an option. I just think that for the pizza, I want the outside to be a little bit crispier, more like a piece of pizza and not soft like I did yesterday. So that's why I'm choosing the air fryer, but heat it however you want to. And you guys, I'm not even gonna preheat my air fryer. I'm just gonna throw it in there. 350 for 10 minutes. All right, that was fast. All right, and as you can hear, it's definitely more on the crispy side versus when you use a microwave. And here's what it looks like inside. Probably exactly what you would expect, but everything's nice and melty. Got a nice cheese pull on that one. Extra shout out to that commenter who gave me this idea, because I've actually never done a pizza burrito. You're a genius. Thank you for sharing. All right, you guys, finally time to try our last burrito. I just got back from chaperoning a field trip for one of my kids' kitchen. It's a mess. I have a lot I gotta do before they come home for the day. And cooking is not something I want to do because I don't want to make my kitchen messier than it already is. So burrito it is. And we're going to try the last one, the bean burrito. And I'm going to go ahead and microwave it because I don't want to wait 10 minutes for it to cook in the air fryer, but you could cook it in the air fryer. I'm gonna throw it in the microwave. All right, I ended up doing 1 minute on one side and 1.5 minutes on the other, and our burrito is done. Thank goodness, because I am so hungry. And of course, just so that you can see inside what we're working with, a nice little bean burrito. Kind of hot. Warm, comforting, soft, and the everything but the elote seasoning, chef's kiss. Perfect snack. All right, you guys, that's it for my freezer burritos. I hope I could inspire you to think outside the box when it comes to your burritos. Again, huge shout out to that commenter who gave me the inspiration. If you guys have good ideas, always share them with me because I am into it. Of course, hit subscribe if you haven't already and you like this type of content because I am filling the freezer and making food for just myself all the time. And now I need to try to get this kitchen clean before I have to go get my kids from school. So I'm gonna do that real quick and I will see you guys in my next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.